It's your boy Soto here, back with another one. Autumn Windbags. You know how we do. Got a couple things I want to talk about today, and it's not all football related. Heck, it's not all Raider related, but I think you're going to like the content. Before we go any further, like I always do, I want to make sure you guys know, please like, comment, subscribe, hit the little notification button down at the bottom. I jumped on last minute. I wasn't going to do it because I got home really late. Yesterday, I was hanging out with homegirl. I got home really late. I'm like, you know what? I don't want to give a BS show. I'd rather not give a show at all than just to give you guys a BS show that I didn't prepare for. I prepared a little bit for today's show as far as what I researched, but I really want to talk about my last subject, which we're going to get to in a second. The first subject I want to talk about is there was another ranking. You know, people love these rankings, right? So this one was done by, what's his dude's name? Brent Sobleski. Brent Sobleski talked about what makes an ideal wide receiving core in today's NFL. Basically, super athletes. If you want to read the article, you can go read it. A good mix of possession receivers, good mix of outside guys, mix of underneath guys who can take the top off, guys that can do multiple things, right? And I think we have that here in Las Vegas. So I read a little bit more. I'm like, okay, he's kind of saying a couple things here and there. Starts going into contracts and all this stuff that doesn't really have anything to do with it. We're talking about players here, okay? But he wanted to rank the top 5 wide receiving cores in the NFL, and that did pique my interest. So home dude starts off with number 5, the Miami Dolphins. It took me a second because I know they have Tyreek Hill and they have Jalen Waddle. Then I took a look a little bit further, and they signed Cedric Wilson from the Cowboys. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, that is just those 3 guys right there. Because honestly, you're not going to really go any further than 3 deep on a lot of these. You don't really have to go any further than 3 deep. They should basically say, what are your best 3 wide receivers? Because these wide receiving cores don't go any further than 3 deep. So Miami Dolphins have Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Cedric Wilson Jr. They also have Eric Ezukanma and Lynn Bowden Jr., but those 2 guys aren't going to get the ball. Let's just be honest. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, that's the first shot. I see where they're going here. I don't necessarily disagree with the wide receiving core themselves, but there is a lot of question marks going into who's going to be throwing them the ball. Now, to Miami's credit and to, in Miami's favor, you do have a couple of guys in Hill and Waddle who take short passes a long way. So screen passes, hitches, comebacks, all this stuff. If they make one guy miss, that's a guaranteed 20 extra yards. So I understand that you don't have to be super accurate down the field if you're Tua, but these defenders get paid too, and they've seen fast players too. And I think that is going to hurt this wide receiving core. Although talent-wise they may be up there, I'm not sure that they're going to produce like a top 5 group. Okay. So number 4 is going to be of particular interest to everyone here. Oh, man. Number 4. I did type these out, but I guess they didn't save. Or I didn't save them. Number 4 is Las Vegas Raiders. So what they're saying, what he's saying here is Adams being the focal point of a passing offense. Like the singular focal point basically in Green Bay for the last 5 years, since like 2017. So 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So like the last 6 years, Davante Adams has been like the guy in Green Bay. Davante Adams coming over to Las Vegas, he's going to be the guy, but there's 2 other very good options The first of being Darren Waller, who is a matchup nightmare. And let's not forget, Josh McDaniels loves throwing to an athletic tight end. He's had one his entire career. He loves throwing to him, loves giving him big numbers, big targets. How is that going to affect Davante Adams' numbers? How is that going to affect Hunter Renfrow's numbers? And in turn, how is that going to affect them as one of the top receiving cores in the NFL? Is it going to be a lot of, stat watchers saying, well, their stats aren't that great because basically they're leveled off because you have 3 really good targets. The targets they're given here. Now, I know they're just saying wide receiving core, so Darren Waller's not in this equation, but you do have to put him in the mix because he's going to take a lot of targets. So Las Vegas Raiders were ranked number 4 with Davante Adams, Hunter Renfrow, Demarcus Robinson, Keelan Cole, and Matt Collins. You can almost take any one of those last 3 names off and put Darren Waller in, and if you did that, they would be the unquestioned number 1. That's why I'm not so concerned about them being number 4, because honestly, if you just look at wide receivers by themselves, they're number 4 with basically 2 wide receivers, Davante Adams and Hunter Renfrow. These other guys, Robinson, Cole, and Hollins, they're okay. They're nice players, but they're not bringing the heat like, Adams, Renfrow, and Waller are. So that was a number 4 team. Whoops. Don't want to show that. So number 3, they have, God damn it, the Los Angeles Rams. It's hard to argue when you have the reigning Triple Crown winner on your team and you went out and got a number 1 receiver from another team. So it's kind of hard to argue. So what they're saying right now is Cooper Kupp, Allen Robinson, Van Jefferson, and stop. That's all you need to go. Van Jefferson is a nice player. They did get rid of Robert Woods. They're probably going to re-sign OBJ towards the middle of the season, probably maybe the end of training camp, knowing that he's not going to be back for a while. But just with Kupp and Robinson, and then you have Jefferson in the mix. Wide receiver wise, yeah, that's a really talented trio there of wide receivers. Honestly, I don't have much opposition to that. You do have a capable quarterback throwing them the ball, and honestly, if they get OBJ, they can probably leap into number 2 because number 2 has a good crew, but there are some injuries involved. So let's take a look at number 2, Tampa Bay Bucs. Tampa Bay Bucs sport Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Russell Gage. Damn. That's a huge 3. Russell Gage is a sneaky good pickup from Atlanta. They were kind of more of a running offense and really wanted to highlight Cordarrelle Patterson and Kyle Pitts, but Russell Gage did take the top off a lot. Chris Godwin is coming back from injury. He did have an ACL surgery. ACL surgery is different than they used to be, man. These guys are coming back soon. They're coming back powerful. They're coming back ready to go. If Chris Godwin comes back and is anywhere near to what he was in his previous life, in his career, before the ACL injury, I don't know that I would personally put them number 2. I would probably put them number 4 and then move LA and Las Vegas up 1 each. But they also have Brashard Perriman, Brashard Perriman as your number 5. He can do some things, just hasn't really been given a lot of opportunity. But honestly, those top 3, if healthy, if come back nice and ready to go, I would see them as the number 2. But for right now, we don't know what Chris Godwin's going to be. I would probably put them around the 4 range, like I said, and put Vegas up to 3, and then the Rams up to 2, especially if they get OBJ. Okay. Number 1 is not going to be a surprise to anybody because Cincinnati Bengals, these guys are freaking loaded at receiver, and you only need to go 3 deep. These 3 receivers can be number 1 receivers on damn near any squad in the National Football League. People say that all the time, but I'm telling you, they have 3 number 1 wide receivers. Everyone knows Jamar Chase. But T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd, these three receivers are top receivers in the NFL. I don't have a problem with them putting them number one because we're just talking about receivers. I will say this, like I said before, if we put tight ends into the mix as pass catchers, I will take the top three of Adams, Renfro, and Waller above anything else that's out there in the NFL. As much as Higgins and Jamar Chase are matchup nightmares, Tyler Boyd's a really nice player, but Waller is a better player than Tyler Boyd in this respect. I don't think that that's a question as far as top three pass receiving options. Okay, so that's the first thing I wanted to talk about. Let's move on to the next thing I want to talk about. This is near and dear to my heart because ever since I was younger, I kind of really did like older women. I'm not going to lie. Older women, they knew how to take care of a guy. So when I was in my early 20s, I dated women that were a little bit older, like in their early 30s sometimes. And I dated them like dated them exclusively, but I went out and hung out. Like, okay, I live in Long Beach, and there's a place called 2nd Street in Long Beach. It's like a street just full of restaurants and bars. There's a restaurant, a bar called Panama Joe's. Panama Joe's was bought out by a different company. It's totally different now. But back in the day, like when I was in college, that was a cougar bar. And that was the cougar bar of cougar bars. Okay. This is before they even called them cougars. I'm 23 years away from being in college. Like when I was 21, I'm 44 right now. So when I was 21 going to that bar was people didn't even call them cougars. They just called them like older chicks that knew what was up. And the reason why I liked hanging out with older chicks was because they were fine. They freaking had body. They had their own money. They didn't want nothing from you. But, you know. So I'm not mad at Zach Wilson. If you guys don't know what's going on, if you guys didn't hear what's going on, Zach Wilson is out there banging his mom's best friend. How do we know this? I'll tell you. So on Instagram, this scrub wide receiver from the Washington Commanders, who just happens to be Zach Wilson's former best friend and roommate and teammate at BYU, Dax Milne, and Zach Wilson's ex, Abby Guile, I think her name is Abby Guile. They went public that they're together on Instagram, and that's like bro code 101. Like, don't date a homie's ex, right? Like, don't do it. Not only is this Dax Milne dude actually doing it, they went out public and they're like, oh, we're together and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I know what they call that in my hood. I don't know what they call it in your hood, but someone actually called Abby Guile out and called her a homie hopper. She's hopping from one homie to the other. Fine. I would just take it and move on. But no, Abby Guile had a little bit of venom in her, and she said, the reason why Zach Wilson and I broke up is because Zach Wilson is out there fucking his mom's best friend. You heard me right. Zach Wilson is out there banging his mom's best friend. I don't know if they're still best friends or not. That'd be kind of a weird situation. But from what I hear, there's, I guess, the lady who was unnamed was still called the mom's best friend. So that was the big clapback by Abby Guile. And I don't know what the heck to think about this, because if I'm Zach Wilson and I'm this white meat baby face, just a baby face of baby faces, right? Like an all-American kid, Mormon, went to BYU, virtuous and all this stuff. And he's like a quarterback in New York. And, you got the blonde, dude, this Abby Guile chick was Zach Wilson's high school sweetheart. They were together all through college and everything. Now he's in New York. He's got his pick of the litter, and he chooses his mom's best friend. I don't know how old this lady is, because I know sometimes women, when they get to a certain age, they hang out with any other age. It don't matter. You could be like in your 40, 45, 50 and still hanging with somebody in your 30s, and then you got to be chilling because like you guys love the gossip. I don't know how that works. But I'm assuming that Zach Wilson's mom's best friend is right around her age. I'm not mad at it, because now we know that fucking Zach Wilson is spitting that hot fire. Okay, Zach Wilson is out there slanging and banging, and he don't care who he hurts or what he hurts or whatever. And I had to jump on and talk to you guys about this and give my thoughts. Zach Wilson, I see you, man. I see you. I'm okay with it. Do your thing. There's plenty of time. There's plenty of time out there to get those 20, 21-year-old girls in New York City. Plenty of time. You're going to be a quarterback in this league for a few years now. When you got a MILF in that prime window, that window is tight. That window is small. So you're going to get that MILF action when it's there. And if that's the one you want to go with, it just happens to be your mom's best friend, who am I to judge? Okay? So, Zach Wilson, good on you, man. There'll be plenty of other chicks out there, plenty of young girls out there to have. You got plenty of time to do that. You could be a distinguished gentleman in your 30s and 40s, still picking up 21, 22-year-old chicks. Let's see what we think. Steve the Cockfighter says, Zach Wilson is gross. He should be swimming in 20-year-old poon. Oh, Steve. There will be plenty of time for that. Plenty of time for the young girls, man. I'm telling you. If you find yourself the milfiest of MILFs and they're right up there, that window is small. You got to jump into that window when you have the chance. Carlos, Raider Nation for life. Yeah, man, you got it right. Steve the Cockfighter. Wilson knew his ex was no good. She's a homie hopper, so he dipped out first. First time he read something pre-snap in his life. Oh, listen, if that pre-snap retranslates to the field, watch for big things in New York out of Zach Wilson and the Jets. Dutch Master 710. Do you think Brent Edwards would have beat out DeMarcus Robinson, Cole, or Hollins for that second outside spot? I don't know, man. He's a specific type of talent. I think with coaching, he could have gotten better. The issue that we're seeing with Bryan Edwards is this guy just does not get separation, man. He rounds out. I haven't really studied him too much, but usually when you don't get separation and you are plenty fast enough, is because your route running is not that crisp. Either he's not crisp coming out of his breaks, or he's not really good at setting up his moves, and he's being read a lot. He gives a lot of tells of what he's going to do in his route, and he doesn't create any separation. Now, he's a big body. He has a wide catch radius, which they're going to definitely use in Atlanta. And when you have an offense like Atlanta's going to have, a primarily running, grinding out offense, you're able to get open a little bit more because the DBs are going to be a little bit more concerned about the run. But honestly, if you're a backup guy, you have to be able to play special teams, and Bryan Edwards really wasn't that. I think it would be a great loss, but honestly, I don't think Bryan Edwards would have done much with us had he stayed on the team. So honestly, I think I wish him all the best, man. I was really high on him coming out of South Carolina. I thought he was badass. He showed us some of the moves he had, some of the goal line plays that he made. Good stuff, man. But unfortunately, it was too few and far between. If there was ever a time for him to step out, was when Ruggs went down and when Waller went down, and he just never stepped up, man. Zay Jones was the guy getting his looks, and it was getting open, and he was making plays. So when that opportunity arises in the NFL, you have to go out and grab it, and that was his time to make that second wide receiver spot his, and he just couldn't do it. Jorge, saludos Soto, saludos. All right, guys, that's about 20 minutes for me. That's all I wanted to talk about. I wanted to give you guys a little bit of Raiders, wide receiver football. I want to give you guys a little bit of funny stuff that's been happening in the news right now. Listen, if you're single out there and you're in your 20s, don't be afraid of the older ladies, man, because the older ladies these days, the Cougars these days, they're in shape. They're because the young chicks, they know they're young, and they want to just bank on being young. If you're like in your 30s and you're single and you're a chick, like you got to keep this extra tight, keep all this extra going, and they don't mind paying for those BBLs. They don't mind putting that on the credit card or whatever. They got good credit, but don't be afraid of the MILFs, man. All right, guys. Until next time, I'll see you again. Peace.